Hey guys, my name is Ryan Mayo. Welcome back to the channel. I make videos about politics, I make videos about stocks, finance, and investments. A lot of the last few videos I've done have been strictly about investments, trying to help you guys make money, wanting us to all go to the bank together. But with the recent events that have happened today in our country, I really wanted to take a minute to talk about my other passion and talk about something that's concerning me about what I saw, as I'm sure it concerns you. First and foremost, today, pro-Trump protesters, they basically protested in front of the Capitol. They made their way actually inside the Capitol, taking pictures, destroying property, challenging police officers. As some of you have seen some of the scenes, I'm going to be adding some pictures as well for you guys to see. It was a really troubling scene. It was a really chaotic and violent scene. A woman was shot attempting to enter the Capitol building where members of Congress were being protected and barricaded in, armed, and that woman was killed. So there was a loss of life today, and really. The impetus of this and what's stoking this is the president and his rhetoric. They had a rally where he attended. He said they had to be tough. That they had to be tough, they couldn't be weak, they had to show strength, and that's what they did. They went out and they showed strength. They intimidated reporters, they broke into offices. They're all trying to stop the certification of the election of Joe Biden, which of course they failed to do. That was never going to work, but it was really troubling, and I have a couple of points and a couple of things that I want to talk about what happened. And first and foremost, a woman died. There was loss of life. That's a tragedy. It's horrible. It's really unfortunate that someone got it into their mind to go armed into the Capitol where they know national security and high-ranking figures are being held. You should expect force to be used. I do think it is very telling that if you think back to some of the Black Lives Matters and George Floyd protests, the response to that, the tear gas, the arrests, the beatings, you didn't see much of that here. And I think it's very telling the type of system that we have and the type of reaction depending on who you are as far as force is concerned with the police department. I think it's also telling that a high percentage of police officers are Trump supporters, and we have to ask ourselves, are they on the side of law and order or are they on the side of the protesters themselves? I don't know the answer to that question, but I think it's important to ask when you look at the visions and the visuals of what happened during the Black Lives Matter summer protests, the George Floyd protests, when Bill Barr sent unmarked police out and tear gassed so that Trump could take the picture in front of the church. I think many of you will remember that, and wonder, where were the arrests today? You know, why did someone have to die before the police started stepping in and taking this seriously? Many of the folks in the crowd were dressed in their, soldier cosplay costumes, and they were carrying zip ties that you use to tie people up. So that also begs the question, were they trying to take hostages here? How serious is this situation? We have to also understand this in the context of the fact that domestic terrorists, domestic extremists, according to the FBI, are the most dangerous group in America. It's the most dangerous threat domestically to America are these domestic right-wing terrorists that are running around the country, stoking hate and angry now about the loss of Donald Trump in the election and hoping to overturn that. If you look closely on different footage that we've seen throughout the day, the police didn't really confront them at every point. At some points they did, but I have footage that I'm going to try to link to down below that shows the police just letting the protesters walk through. No pushback, no nothing. Just let the protesters walk through. I was pretty appalled and disturbed to see that. The essence of our American democracy is not just to win an election, but to lose and to pass along power. Because power, the pendulum of power swings back and forth, and sometimes it swings in your way depending on your ideology, and sometimes it swings away from you. The American public's fickle, and they like to try new things. And the strength of our democracy and the example we set around the world has always been the peaceful transfer of power. And so now we have this autocratic figure in Donald Trump, who's become president. legally became president, in my opinion, was voted in by the Electoral College, though not the public, but he was voted in. That's the system we have, the Electoral College. And now he's shown us who he is. You know, he has shown us that he is willing to go to any extreme to hold power, to stay in office. And I think that should be something that's really chilling. I spent a lot of time once I got done with my workday, just looking at social media, reviewing what's been happening, and it's really chilling, some of the things that have been going on. I think it's really troubling that we spend $750 billion on defense, but we can't protect our capital, our U.S. capital. I think that really points to a really dangerous situation and a kind of a weak spot in our defense, that this could even happen. We knew there was going to be a protest. We knew people would be angry. I don't think we knew it would go to this extent, but to not be ready for that, as you can see in the picture I posted, again, when they had the Black Lives Matter George Floyd protests, they had plenty of armed military-style presence there to combat protesters who were peacefully protesting and were not trying to break into the U.S. Capitol. So I do think as an American public, we do need to ask, why did that happen? Where were the police? Where was the National Guard? I know there are reports and reporting that to suggest that the President Trump resisted the National Guard, and in fact, Vice President Pence is the one who deployed the National Guard and finally started to bring order, law and order, a great word that the president is fond of, into the situation, because it was getting really dangerous for a lot of people. The police also found 2 IEDs, 2 pipe bombs in different places, and were able to detonate those safely, make sure no one got hurt. So, I mean, this was a full-on terrorist insurrection. There's no other word for it. If these were Muslim perpetrators, if they were people of color perpetrators, we would call it what it is, which was a terrorist insurrection. It's an attempt at a coup by a president who's angry and lost. And I am happy to report that it's not going to work, that as we speak, our elected officials are in the Capitol, back in the Capitol. We had a strong statement from Vice President Pence that, to paraphrase a little bit, basically that we're not going to be deterred. We are going to do the people's business. I was very happy to see that. I think that's really important, that someone's there to step in and say, no, this democracy is worth more than our politics. It's worth more than our ideology. It's, it's about the safety. It's about our way of life, the safety of our family, our children, our future. It's all tied into this. If we can't get along, there's no place for half our population to go. If we can't get along, we are going to crumble as a society. And there are people in our society who are happy to watch it burn and enjoy the show. And I know that most of you are not on that in that group of people. So it's more important than ever for us to throw ideology to the side and to come together, especially for this issue, and say, no, we have a way of life. We have elections, whether you like them or not. If your side loses, we peacefully transfer power. I heard a lot of complaints about Hillary Clinton saying that she was robbed and the Russian conspiracy and this and that. And there were complaints for her side. But let's be very clear. Hillary Clinton conceded the election on election night. She conceded it on the election night. She did not try to litigate any state. There was a recount in Wisconsin, but that was actually paid for by Jill Stein, who used it to raise $6 million and basically kind of defund her supporters, and it worked. But we've never seen anything like this. I mean, for anyone who hasn't seen it, just go online, go on social media, turn on the news, watch the scenes, watch the footage of what happened. It's complete lawlessness, it is complete anarchy, and it can't be allowed. We will not have a country if this continues. We have to make sure, as the American people of all ideologies, all faiths, all beliefs, that this is the end of something and not the beginning of something. It's the end of Trumpism, and it could have went out in dignity, but it was his choice to allow it to go out like this, and I don't have anything to do with that. I really want to make most of my videos in a bipartisan way, because I think that we agree on more than we disagree on, and if we come together and we listen to each other and we always assume that the intentions of the other person are good, we'll always end in a good place and we can always find common ground. But this is not we can't both sides of this issue. We have one party with a fringe who is violent, extremist, and who don't believe in democracy. plain and simple. The case for election fraud has been litigated in case after case after case. There have been over 50 cases. All of them have lost, including cases seen by judges appointed by Donald Trump. The Supreme Court refused to even see any of these cases. There is no case for fraud, period, end of story. Whatever you're seeing on the internet, it doesn't matter. It's not important. It doesn't matter what you believe. It matters what you can prove. Al Gore believed that the 2000 election was stolen. He couldn't prove it. John Kerry believed that the 2004 election in Ohio was stolen. He couldn't prove it. Each of them peacefully transfer power. Heck, Nixon believed, and many experts agree, that the election in 1960 or 64 between him and Kennedy was stolen. It's pretty commonly accepted that that election was stolen, and yet there was a peaceful transfer of power, because there has to be, because we don't have a country if there's not one. And I think we have to, again, come together and agree that this is not acceptable, that this is a country in a two-party system, and having two healthy parties is vital to the country. We can't just have one liberal party. We can't just have one dominant conservative party. We need these ideas to butt head and to challenge and be a balance, a counterbalance to each other, for us to move forward as a country and for us all to get along. If any one party had the best ideas, that party wouldn't lose so much, and each party keeps getting its butt kicked each cycle. So the pendulum swings back and forth, and that's just what it does. For me, I don't want to talk too much. I'm really passionate about this issue, but this is the natural endgame of Trumpism. This is the politics of the person. The man, Donald Trump, showed us who he was the entire time. He never lied about who he was. He never pretended that he was super into democracy or our way of government. He telegraphed that the election was going to be stolen even before the election occurred. He was already planting seeds. He is pushing boundaries, as all aspiring authoritarians do. They push boundaries until there's a pushback. And for the longest time, there wasn't a pushback, and I do believe there is now going to be an immense pushback. We've already seen a lot of senators who are thinking about joining the contesting of the Electoral College pull back. They don't want anything to do with it anymore, because they know that it's gone too far. And the thing about this country is, for better or worse, it's run by commerce and money. And when you start talking about insurrection, start talking about violence in the street and civil war, you mess with the money, and the powers that be are not going to let you mess with the money. And that's just how it is. They are not going to let you mess up the money. That's when they're going to step in. That's when cooler heads are going to prevail. But I think further than that, we really need to talk as a country, as an American family, about what are we going to do. I mean, this is really serious. You have a majority of people who voted for Trump, over 74 million people, who believe the election was rigged simply because he told them to. None of them have facts beyond internet conspiracy theories and made up nonsense. None of it can be litigated or proven in court. And I think what we have to agree on is not that it doesn't matter if you think the election was stolen or not. If you think the election was stolen, that's okay. God bless you. It matters if you can prove it. If you cannot prove it in a court of law, you need to sit down. It doesn't matter what you think. A lot of us think a lot of things, but if you can't prove it, it's not important and it's not relevant. And I think one of the things we need to bring back, because I know a lot of Republicans, a lot of conservatives, half my friends are conservative, who don't approve of anything that happened. They may have even voted for Trump. This is not what they had in mind. They do not support this. This is not who they want to be as a party. But the truth is, first and foremost, when you vote for somebody like Donald Trump, who you know is morally questionable in the beginning, you own everything he does, including this. You own this. Okay, he told us who he was, and if we went along with it as a country, and I include myself and everyone in it, we went along with this for better or worse. We chose him over Hillary, and this is what we get for better or worse. Maybe with Hillary we'd have even different, maybe even worse problems. Who knows? That's not for me to decide. It's not about politics. It's about our country and about whether we have a future. Because I promise you, we will thrive and succeed together, or we will burn all in the same. Our fates are intertwined, no matter if you live in the north, south, east, or west. We are all going to only go in the same direction in the future together. And that's kind of what I wanted. I wanted to get some of this off my chest. I really think what happened today is disgusting. I can't stand it. I'd like to say that we're better than that, but I'm not so sure we are. America has a way of saying all the right things and doing completely different things, and this is an example of that. And I noticed on the social media, a lot of Trump supporters are very quiet, and this is my message to you personally, Trump supporters. A lot of good people out there voted for Trump for a lot of reasons, a lot of political ideology, low taxes. Those are all valid reasons. We all have a right to come together with our ideas, disagree on those ideas, have an election, and then the people decide. And what they vote on, that's what we go with. That's the only way this country can continue. And this message is to you guys. You need to stand up and be accountable for this, and they need to hear you. Your party needs to hear you that this is unacceptable, period, end of story, and that you won't vote Republican if this is the kind of people that you're going to be around. The only way to get around extremists, right, left, center, doesn't matter, is shame. Public shame. I don't want police out there beating up Trump supporters. What purpose does that serve? I don't want anyone to die, anyone to get hurt. What we need is to shame these people. These people need to be identified. They need to be put in jail. They need to lose their jobs. They need to have public shame that there is a baseline of decorum that we are expecting you to behave like when it comes to our country and our democracy. And if you don't, you will be exiled. You will be socially exiled. We don't have to make laws to do this, though we should make laws to protect the integrity of our voting systems, to protect the Capitol and the people in it, because obviously it's not safe from attack. It's not safe. Obviously, we saw that today. It's not safe. But really, it's about social shame and about accountability. And that's what I want to leave you guys with. I love this country. I'm recently married. I have a 2-month-old son. I'd like him to have a great future. But right now we are emulating ourselves. We are tearing ourselves apart, and we're doing it for nothing. We're doing it on cultural issues, half of which don't even matter. Honestly, it is not for me to tell anyone else how to live, and not for them to tell me how to live. We have different states with different laws. We have a big country that runs in a million different ways with a million different cultures. But we have to have an American culture that is above all. And that culture isn't based on any religious beliefs. It's not based on any ideology. It's based on patriotism. It's based on a belief and a love for each other. And that's what it has to be. Because the founders didn't get along all the time, too. You guys should study the founders. They were not all friends. They did not all believe the same. The entire country is a compromise. And the only way it moves forward is through compromise. Because the next few years and decades are going to be incredibly dangerous and incredibly unproductive for you and your family economically if we can't come together and end this now. So again, please, if you watch the video, you feel anything that I said, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate you. I got love for you. Let's end this. Till next time.